Yeah, hello, and good evening to you, viewers. This is the bridge session. You probably see it has covered up with Pursuing God with JD Live, or all of that's going to change in a few minutes. So I'm standing in once again for Pastor Patrick Kelly. He sends his love, and we're going to continue the conversations around relationships, making our relationships better. As you can see, the bridge ministry of the House of Abundance is set up as a conversation and a support to help to encourage relationships, both pre-marital, both preparing for marriage and those in marriage, facing any form of conflict. We set up this channel to encourage you, to support you, and to help you get things on the right path. My name, once again, is Eugene Bayo. I'm one of the pastors of the house, constantly looking for better ways to serve you. So today, what are we going to talk about? I want to share around the concept and the topic of emotions. So if you are looking for what to call this, you can call it emotions are not decisions. Emotions are not decisions. I'm just trying to see if I can put something up on the screen for you. Emotions are not decisions. So the reason why I'm sharing this is that most of the time we know what is right to do, but one big blocker that faces us is our feelings about issues that we face, particularly when it comes to other human beings. So, as I said, emotions are not decisions. If you're looking for a way to type this now, that may sound like, oh, yeah, it's common sense. Everyone should know emotions are not decisions. But ask yourself, how many times do you get involved in a situation, either with someone that you love very much? It could even be yourself. Some people will say things like, I'm very, very hard on myself. What does that simply mean? It means when I feel I've not done something that I should, the way I should, then I can get to be very self-punishing, and I put myself, through all these mental rigors. And there's nothing bad with being a stickler for self-improvement, but we just want to separate the emotions from what should be rational decisions. So if you are able to separate emotions from rational decisions in your relationships or anything you're doing in life, you find out that you'll be more successful in almost anything that you're doing. Now, most of the time when we're dealing with workplace or any other issue that affects us objectively, most of us are able to think rationally and make decisions. But it's in relationships where emotions are the key decision makers for most of us. So the question I want to ask yourself is, how much does emotions play a part in your relationships? Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't play a part. I'm just saying how much. Yeah, everything has its proper use. If you abuse a thing, you're going to get a very bad result. If you don't know the proper use of a thing, you're going to abuse it, and usually it's going to cause a lot of pain. I'll give you an instance. Typically, when I'm talking to a couple who want to get married or who are in marriages, there's something that comes up a lot, and that word is the word love. I don't think I'm in love anymore. I think I'm in love with him. I feel this, I feel that. Many things that we discuss when it comes to relationships, particularly close quarters one, what we call romantic relationship, I call them covenant relationships. Most of the time, the deciding factors for what we do and how we do things are the emotions. Should this be so? Is a big question. What do you think? Do you think emotions should be decisions? Do you think emotions should just be suggestions? And of course, I'm leading the conversation here. Emotions should be suggestions and not decisions. So let's look at the variety of emotions that you normally feel when you're in a relationship. So usually the positive relationship emotions will be love. And what we often call love is affinity, is affection, is desire. So you tend to feel an emotion of love for somebody. So when you say you love someone, it means there's present within you an emotion of affection, of affinity, of a desire to associate, or a desire to procreate, whatever. There's something in you that's saying, I want to be with this person. That is an emotion. That is an emotion. So an emotion usually gets us together. When you see someone you like, the likeness is what begins that affinity that wants to make you be with that person. So I think that's one of the primary emotion everybody believes should be in romantic relationships. From God's perspective, it should be in every relationship. Love should be in every relationship. Now, there are different kinds of loves, and we can talk about that whole spectrum. But let's just zone in on, from a day-to-day perspective, from that close quarters relationship of fiance relationship, husband-wife relationship. We are always looking for love in that relationship. So it's almost as if both yourself and your spouse are looking for love as a basis to act or react or respond or to feel secure. Now, the lady may be looking for love in terms of the fact that she's hearing this guy tell her, if you're a lady, you want your guy to tell you how beautiful you are, how appreciative he is of you, and so on and so forth. The guy wants to feel valued, wants to feel respected. We're looking for that emotion called love. Nothing wrong with it. Trust me, love should be the environment that relationships thrive on. But let's talk about a few more emotions that also then come into a relationship. There's fear, okay? So in a relationship, you can have the emotion of fear. And the emotion of fear many times is what causes us to, for the relationship to start to deteriorate. Because you see, whilst love is supposed to be that emotion where we feel accepted whilst we're accepting of the other person wholly and fully, even though we never truly genuinely love people, and that's the truth, except God helps us. We are all selfish in our love. So if I said I love something, it's because I want something out of that person. Whereas love means I'm totally accepting of this person and I want to offer my whole self to this person for them to find fulfillment in life. That's what love should mean, but that's a total story for another day. But when we are perfected in love, and there's a scripture that says that perfect love casts out all fear. So it means that he that fears, as that scripture says, is not made perfect in love. So fear is the fact that we feel at risk that somebody else might take advantage of us or injure us, or or we will be reduced in some way or diminished in some way by some other person's activity, whether knowingly or not knowingly. So in most of our hearts, we are playing with these two types of emotion, love and fear. Now, fear is like the mother of many other types of emotions. So for instance, if you feel jealousy, for instance, it's because there's a risk that somebody else is interested in the person you're interested in. Somebody else is trying to get the attention of your spouse, your wife, your husband, and that fear comes in like, oh no, I don't want to lose what I love. And then that fear begins to provoke you to think in certain ways or act in certain ways. So fear also can make you, if you're having a conversation with your spouse or your loved one, and you feel they're attacking you, and you respond, it's fear. It's fear that, well, I'm being attacked. I better defend myself or else. So there's a fear. There's a presence in your mind of a risk, if because of the person's behavior. But that's because you're not secure in yourself yet. You're not secure in that relationship yet, or you have not found what to secure your relationship on. Because if you secure it on something as flimsy as a feeling, then you'll be oscillating between love and fear constantly. So in the morning, the dude tells you he loves you. You tell him you love him. And then in the afternoon, maybe he or she is not as communicative as you expect. That introduces an unsettling in your heart and begins to give room for fear. So what Satan does is to allow fear and uncertainty to help us to get us to a place where we start to act or react in ways that actually diminish relationship. Because you see, once you are not loving and you're walking in fear, it's a downward spiral from there. That relationship is not healthy. Once one or both parties are operating in fear. So now, what is fear? Fear is the fact that you're considering some facts or some information that is not real, and you're basing your thinking and your actions based on that. So now, attacking that emotion of fear now, if you actually look at it and ask yourself, do I walk in fear? What is my emotion towards my husband, my wife, my children, my sister, my auntie, the close relationship to you? How much fear do you have? And how much love do you have? Okay, now to the question, are emotions supposed to be decisions? The answer is no. Emotions are not decisions. So, yes, I've opened up a couple of questions to you, and I want you to be thinking, how much love do I have? How much fear do I have? I really wish I could get some feedback from you, and so that maybe I might take some questions. I'm going to open Facebook now, just in case I find some questions, and I might be able to, engage and provide some answers. But I'll just make some statements that might help you. So, regardless of what emotions you find, you're supposed to have just one attitude. Remember that emotions are not decisions. That means for human beings, you have the ability to ensure that you don't make decisions just based on how you feel. Now, if we were just animals, animals don't have that ability to rationalize whilst they are feeling. So we call an animal's feeling, we call it instinct. So animal, when it feels something, it does it. But the beautiful thing about us as human beings is that we can, and I'm going to be looking at just in case somebody puts in any question. And if there are no questions, it just means we just do that, and then we call it a date in the next 10 minutes or so. So let's think about how things happen to us. So let's say you come into the house and your spouse is not responding to you in the way that you would wish. So your mind says, this is not what I expect. Why is this person not greeting me? Maybe you expected a hug, but the other person is not giving you a hug at that point in time, and immediately fear kicks in. Why is this person not, focusing on me? And then two things can happen. You can start feeling bad that you put yourself in such a vulnerable position to expect this person to do that and they're not doing that. Or it could be that you're actually mad at them because they ought to know what is right to do and they're not doing it. So fear just has all of those different things involved. But one thing you need to realize that God has given you a gift is to rationalize your emotions. Rationalize your emotions. So the fact that your emotions are saying and suggesting. Now, if you take that suggestion that, hey, maybe this person doesn't love me the way I want to be loved, if you take that suggestion and make it a decision, guess what you're going to do? You're going to react. But what if you decide that whatever my emotions tells me, I will make it a suggestion first, then I will analyze it and then base my responses on truth, whether I feel like it or not. And this is to going out to everyone out there who's saying, I'm tired of this relationship. I think I've had enough. I don't think I love him anymore. I don't think I love her anymore. I've given it my best. I don't think I can go on. Ask yourself, is that what your emotions told you? And you can say, hey, it's true. My emotions are telling me that, but then I have facts to back it up. But of course, if you have built a whole relationship based on reacting, yourself and your spouse and people around you, you have definitely done a lot of things that has justified your current position. Yes, I know that. But the question is, if there's no cause, there's no effect. So if you have to treat the fact that you're in that situation and be honest with yourself that you probably contributed to how you got here in the first place, then you can do the right thing of starting to check where you're falling. I love what Jesus Christ said in Revelations when he was saying to one of the churches. He says that you have you've lost your first love, and I'm encouraging you to go back to your first love. Go back to your first love. He says they should repent and check where they have fallen. More or less, you should know at what point that your love for me began to wane, Jesus Christ said. So when you want to deal with a situation in your marriage, it takes courage of two people, the man and the woman, and whoever is involved, to say, yep, I agree. I may have been wrong. In fact, not that I may have been wrong, I have been wrong. And for you to now do a forensic search, to go back to the beginning when you had love, and to start asking yourself, when did fear creep into this equation? How did we get to a point where fear is now ruling in this home where the two most intimate individuals should be? Now, I want to tell you why this is important. You see, when you look at human beings across the world, 7 billion people, what makes us unique is the fact that we have relationships in society. So in society, human beings have relationship as friends, as brothers, as mothers, as aunties, as uncles, so relationships is what makes society work. So think of it this way. Think that the relationship that is the closest that human beings have, which is a family relationship that holds everybody together. It's the relationship within which children are raised for the future. That is the relationship that is suffering the most. So some people can be long-term friends. People rarely break their friendships because, of course, it's not as stressful as marriage. People can have long-term political relationships, long-term, but marriages are suffering. Marriage are suffering because, in many cases, because of lack of training and lack of exposure that society has, it's happening in society. We're getting to make more decisions based on emotions that are unvalidated than we're making based on choice that are full of knowledge. And what that is doing is breaking a lot of hearts, is breaking a lot of homes, is breaking society. So it requires us to be mature as men and women and to really, really ensure that whenever it comes to human relationship, particularly, we cannot build homes. We cannot build relationships on the flimsy emotions of love and fickle affection. It has to be built on something more than that. Let me give you an instance. Well, I know that there's some from moms and dads out there that are challenged about motherhood and fatherhood. And by that I mean there are those who have children but don't know what it means to be a mother and a father. But I do know this, that much more women, probably because of the bond they feel with a child in 9 months of carrying the child, 9 months of breastfeeding the child, have a sense of connection. It's instinctive, even if they don't like the child. Something in a mother wants to reach out and protect and nurture that child, and it's nothing you can explain. Yes, selfishly we may say it's because the mother carried the child, the mother is connected to the child. There's some investment, which is the reason why many more women would invest in their own children more than they will invest in the children of another. So that's possible. But I just want to highlight that yes, in most cases, you find that women tend to really connect to their children and care for them because there's a connection. Now imagine that the way we find that in motherhood generally is the way people care for one another in marital relationships. Imagine if the men feel connected to their wives and will protect their wives the way they will protect their daughters. They will protect their wives the way they will protect their sons. Imagine if the wives will love the husband unconditionally as they love their children. A woman will make excuses for the child when the child bites her when she's breastfeeding, when the child poops on her, when she's just finished cleaning. Why don't we do that for one another? What if in all our relationships we can begin to think beyond the emotion? So for instance, I have seen women that before they got married, they could not stand, any mess anywhere, mess in the bathroom, mess in the kitchen, they couldn't stand it. But when they had children, they could stand the mess of the child, pooping and needing to be cleaned. I've seen men who can stand, um, a mess. Also, be accommodating for their own children and so on and so forth. So it's possible within us that regardless of how we feel, it doesn't mean those people still now like a mess. But what has happened is that they found someone they love much more than they hate the mess they give. And that's what love really is. So when I say should emotions be decisions? No. But if you love truly, you understand that love is not an emotion. Love is a choice you make to be there for the person you really care for. So the questions would be, the person that I'm with in this relationship, whatever type of relationship, whether it's friendships, whether it's marriage, or in this case, marriage, do I really care for this person? Have I made a choice to care for this person? And if you have made a choice to care for that person, then my charge to you today is to walk in love, don't walk in fear. Okay? Now, when I'm carrying my baby, is there a risk that the baby can poop on me or burp and mess up my shirt? Yes. I think about that as a possibility, but it doesn't stop me holding my child. It doesn't stop me helping him. Let that be your attitude to the people that you claim to love. If more of us, men and women, can love people this way, that in spite of their mess, we can give them mercy, and then we can look at the end point of what we could be together rather than the inconveniences that areas of their lives are adding, to us, then we'll have a better relationship. So I don't know what you think about this. If you have learned something, push a button and like it and quote it and share it. So the conversation today is emotions should not be decisions. Emotions are not decisions. Emotions are not decisions. Emotions are merely suggestions. So, whatever emotion you are feeling now about your home, it's a suggestion and it's not being suggested by something that is rational. Your emotions are not rational, they only think about how you feel. But I want you to engage your sense, your good Christian sense, and start asking yourself, what is really happening? Instead of thinking of my own needs, what are the needs of this person? What are the reasons why they might feeling the way they are feeling? Am I even concerned about their own emotions? Am I concerned about their own needs? Those are valid questions to ask. Well, I think that we're out of time already, but I hope that you got something out of this. I'm Eugene Adebayo Ajayi once again from House of Abundance, standing in for Pastor um, Patrick Kelly, who normally will have a conversation with us today, but around the same thing, around the same topic, which is the bridge, which is making relationships better. Let's know what questions you have. You can just put it on the Facebook page, put it on the YouTube link, and it lets us know what sort of topics that we can build conversations around. So, well, until next week when Pastor Patrick Kelly will be with you again, I'm going to drop the mic right now, and I want to wish you all the best in your relationship scenarios. And I pray for you that if emotions are getting in the way, particularly emotions built up through fear, maybe it's hatred, maybe it's revenge, maybe it's unforgiveness, whatever those emotions are, I pray that you will have the courage and the maturity to drop them. And I pray that you will have the boldness also to pick up the mission of love in your relationship. Let's save the society of today. Let's save the future by walking in love. And I pray that God blesses you and see you next time.